On May 7, 2013, the German Bundestag passed legislation for the reintroduction of a third gender entry, which had previously been abolished in 1900 after its first introduction in Prussia in 1794. This new legislation came into effect on November 1, 2013, and exactly 1 month later, when the changed text of the law was published at last, I applied to have my own gender entry, which had intentionally been forged, finally corrected, which wasn't done. I frequently asked about the status of my application, and to this day I haven't gotten an answer from the local town administration. No complaints against this human rights violation was ever answered either. I resorted to instead take the convoluted route and have the gender entry in my birth certificate corrected first. Again, this was not done, and the administration of my birthplace went completely berserk and into full-blown hate crime mode. But at least I had a writ, which I could report to the police for criminal charges and against which I could file a lawsuit. And the multiple judges were no less intolerant. The first thing they demanded from me was a photograph of my genitalia. It was only through multiple criminal charges against these that this lawsuit finally ended with a verdict that forced the administrations of both my birthplace and my hometown to correct the forgery. And even then, the verdict was nothing but concentrated hate speech with a reluctant admittance that laws and human rights also apply to non-binary people. So I ultimately got my birth certificate from the administration of my birthplace after more than 5 years of legal battle, at the age of 34. But to this day, I have not received confirmation of the correction from the administration of my hometown. 5 weeks ago, I sent a request to every county, independent city, and other district of Germany, of which there are around 400, except for those like my hometown and birthplace where I already knew the status from such previous inquiries, regarding whether their administrations have taken measures to provide equal rights to people who are neither female nor male. To simplify the results, I use a 4-category system. I kept all those districts in white, from where I didn't get an answer. By German law, any government or administrative office is required to answer such an inquiry within 1 month. I didn't even wait a few days more, so legally there shouldn't be a single white spot left on this map. However, I had a very few cases where I did get an email in reply, but the content didn't actually say anything, so they did keep those in white regardless. Black is for those districts that did tell me that they have or would take measures in case of such discrimination by the personnel. So by law, this entire map should be black. I used gold for those districts that outright told me that they would not persecute any form of discrimination against non-binary people. And finally, I used red for those cases where the reply fulfilled the requirements for a hate crime. And these are the results. As you can see, I hardly got any answers at all, and most of those constituted substantial criminal offenses. There are 22 districts in red, 16 in gold, and only 2 in black. Also, there are obvious trends. Every single reply I got out of my home state required me to file a report to the police. I also didn't get a single reply out of 4 German states: Berlin, Bremen, Hamburg, and the Saarland. The only 2 positive examples are the Rheinisch-Bergischer Kreis in Nordrhein-Westfalen and Karlsruhe in Baden-Württemberg. The latter, by the way, for those of you who might not be too familiar with the political and judicial landscape of Germany, is the seat of the German Federal Constitutional Court, where I supported some successful lawsuits against human rights violations by the Bundestag and the German government as well.